Alright, what's going on everybody? It's Mitsuni Nico. Welcome back to another video. How's everybody's day going? So today we're going to be talking about someone who I firmly believe is the worst reviewer on YouTube. Now, I know I called Under the Mayo the worst game reviewer on YouTube, but you see, that's the very big difference right there. Under the Mayo, to me, is the worst game reviewer on YouTube. That's completely different than, a reviewer. Someone who would review like everything, I guess, maybe like movies, TV shows, and games as well, compared to Under the Mayo, who I just believe is the worst game reviewer. Now, this guy right here sat here and watched Cyberpunk Edgerunners and then decided to make a crappy review on this after just watching one episode, though. He didn't even watch the entire show. He literally watched the first episode and then just decided, you know what, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Just wait until you hear this guy's takes about why he thinks Cyberpunk Edgerunners is bad. So if you guys are down for that, you're ready for that, let's get right into this video.
You know, I could make a whole channel just making fun of Netflix. In fact, it'd be more popular than what I'm doing right now. But you gotta admire their ability to find those hidden gems at the bottom of the barrel. Just when you think it can't get any worse, here comes Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Before we get into it, I want to give a quick mention to my buddies over at calderalab.com. They just sent me their latest, the Icon. This is great skincare for men. Use my promo code FRY15, save 15% at checkout. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is based on that god-awful 2020 video game Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay, while I don't necessarily agree with you saying that Cyberpunk 2077 is a bad game, I can understand where you're coming from. Now, hear me out, everybody, before you click off the video, because I can already smell it incoming right now. So, I definitely believe there are worse games out there than Cyberpunk 2077, number one. Number two, CD Projekt Red surely did release this game in an unfinished and broken, buggy mess. Okay, and they also lied about how it ran on last-gen consoles and everything. That right there is certainly awful. However, I don't think Cyberpunk 2077 is a bad game. I do think there are worse games out there than Cyberpunk 2077, even when it was released. I mean, has any of you ever played Bubsy 3D? Like, come on now. I think that is easily the worst game ever made. That game physically and mentally just hurt me on the inside. Like, I was getting, like, my brain and everything was just hurting playing that darn game. If anyone knows about Bubsy 3D, you would probably understand just how terrible it is, despite the fact that it's a finished product. That game is truly an abomination. Now, I also believe that Cyberpunk 2077, is a somewhat decent game now. It definitely was released as an unfinished, broken, buggy mess, and it's still unfinished. However, after the success of Edgerunners, I believe CD Projekt Red are finally getting a little bit of the money, that they need to continue with this game running. Which, if you ask me, is a good thing, because I want CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077 to do well, despite all the things that have happened. However, I want to know exactly why you think Edgerunners is a terrible show and what your issue is with Netflix. I mean, we all know Netflix has done some really stupid stuff, and they've even done some really disgusting stuff, like funding that horrible movie Cuties.
Though it's an anime series, it certainly is jerky enough to capture that Xbox One version of the game. Story concerns D. Yeah, in the game you play as V, so this is D, though they do say his name's David. And guess what? He's a teenage son to a single mom. And in the first episode, which was all I could stomach, I immediately picked up that it seems a little familiar, doesn't it? Like, didn't we just see the same plot play out like a week ago with Tekken Bloodline? Oh, single mom gets wiped out, the son's a douchebag, he's bullied by classmates, and he's got nowhere to go. And you sure there are some differences, like in the case of Edgerunners, the bullies have downloaded Kenshiro.
You see, that's the issue with you watching only one episode of Edgerunners and then thinking it's going to follow the same basic, bland, generic plot line as some other show you watch, or as you put it right here, it seems to be following the same premise as Tekken Bloodline. Because if you did watch more than one episode, which the show is only 10 episodes long. It's not even that long or hard to get through. Come on now. And then you just sit here and you make one review on one episode and you think that the entire show is going to be like this. That's the issue with it right there, is that you only watch one darn episode of Edge Runners and then determine that it's bad or that it's bland and boring or that it's garbage when you haven't even seen the entirety of what the show has to offer, and it's not even that darn long, because then you'd understand that a lot more happens with David, and it is very emotional and heartbreaking what even happens at the end. I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, for those of you who haven't seen it, but I gotta say, Edge Runners was a really amazing show, one of a kind if you ask me.
Oh, but Dee's mom was hiding this tech. It looks like a spinal cord, and he wants his Ripper Doc buddy, whose name I don't even think we've really gotten around to talking about. He wants him to install it, and this is going to make all the difference, right? Because he's the poor kid who is looking to drop out of his rich kid's school. His mom had dreams of him becoming a corpo, and these are things that will really only make sense to you if you played through that game.
What are you talking about? You do not need to play Cyberpunk 2077 if that's what you're talking about to understand what's happening in Edge Runners. Especially since this game takes place before 2077 anyway. You see, this is the issue that I have with channels like this, who literally will watch one episode of a show or only play like an hour or two of a video game and then try to make a review on it like that's the entire darn experience without even seeing at least half of what it has to offer. And then they just want to go off and say that it's bland or boring or that it's garbage because yada yada yada. It seems to be following the same basic premise as everything you've already seen before. This is honestly ridiculous. But do I expect any different from someone who actually thinks that the Resident Evil Netflix TV show is good? Especially when that show is possibly one of the worst things Netflix has ever put out for mankind to see. And it has lines in it like one of the characters talking about how they watch Zootopia porn.
To get you interested in a new product to watch, why remind you of the worst gaming experience you ever had? Give you an incredibly unlikable, moody protagonist who just talks in obnoxious lingo, choom, nova, terrible music, confusing visuals, and no discernible reason to continue other than to make videos about it on YouTube. I mean, if I had to take a stab in the dark, I think that Dee's gonna run across some hot chick who knows everything and teaches him how to edge run. But I'm sure you got better things to be doing, like watching Rings of Woke and Feminist Hulk.
If you appreciate a YouTube channel that doesn't just pad out content to get to the 8-minute mark so that it can hammer you with ad breaks, then you should subscribe to my son's channel. You just got done watching it.
Oh man, this is the worst review channel on YouTube. I honestly used to think that this guy was a troll until I had a bunch of people telling me themselves that he's not a troll and that he's 100% serious with a lot of the takes that he comes up with, which is honestly just really stupid and sad. But hey man, it's his opinions at the end of the day, I guess. But that doesn't mean they can't be criticized, which is ridiculous to me because I had people telling me that you can't criticize somebody's opinion, which is really stupid. You can criticize any opinion, no matter what it is, okay? Like, come on now. But honestly, this VaughnJogVlog channel just does this stuff so it can get views and everything. And honestly, it's working because this video right here where he was calling Edge Runners garbage has 92k views. And this guy's channel can barely even break 100 when he talks about anything else. He has to shit on stuff in order for him to get views on his channel. And honestly, this has to be the funniest comment I've ever seen about his channel right here. You've definitely made it very clear why in the past 5 years of regular uploads, you've gained nearly no audience. Ain't that something? Dang. Anyway, this is me, Mitsuni Nika. I will see you guys in the next videos. You guys already know what to do. Hit the like button and subscribe. Turn the notification down below to get notified about when I release new videos. And I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you all have a blessed day. I'm out.
I've been counting down the days to get out. I've been looking for a way from this town.